Hello and welcome. In this second of two videos in which I look at the old Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway line from Melton Constable to Cromer, I shall be looking at that section of the line from Holt to West Runton Junction, which incorporates the North Norfolk Railway heritage line from Holt to Sheringham and the Greater Anglia operated line from Sheringham to Cromer. Although I've had a look at Cromer Beach station in detail in a previous video, I will just have a brief look at it again this time. Now here we are looking away from the original Holt station, and you must remember that this was just a plain single line to Weybourne. None of these structures and platforms were here. As a matter of interest, this station at the Heritage Line Holt is actually from Stalham, and it's been rebuilt here, which is a nice link with the past, nice authentic station. Now in this view we're looking back towards where we've just been. The line gently rose from Holt for about 1.5 miles to its highest point of the line, roughly after the next bridge, and then it generally was downhill until about 1 mile after Weybourne. Now this is looking towards Weybourne. Remember that bridge in the background, because that's we're going to look around there in a minute. I know the angle I've got the camera looks as though it's going downhill, but it's actually going up to, as I say, the highest point of the line, which is after the bridge. Just enjoy this train going past. Now, thanks to Google, we are on that bridge we saw in the last shot, looking towards Weybourne. This is the site of Kelling Heath sidings. We are on Kelling Warren, a high sandy heath from which much gravel was extracted. To facilitate this, sidings were constructed in 1901 either side of the line. These finally closed in 1939. A long siding on the down side, which is the side we're mainly looking at here, reached nearly to where Holt Garden Centre is now. We are just a little bit further round the bend towards Weybourne. This train is approaching from Weybourne and makes its way to Holt. And now moving on a little way, we are looking towards Holt at a level crossing. You can see here the old concrete gate and fence posts, probably cast at the works in Melton Constable. And as the train makes its way to Weybourne, a large cutting will come into view. And there it is now. Now this is the other end of that cutting on the opposite side of the track. The train is dropping down the bank to Weybourne. And as I swing round, a plate layer's hut will come into view. And I shall be going there next. There's the hut, right near the end of the train. Now at the platelayer's hut looking towards Weybourne. On the right of the track you can see a small platform. That is Kellingheath Park. Let's let this light engine steam up the bank. And here is a shot of that station I took from a train. Not an original station. It was the extent of the heritage line from Sheringham and Weybourne until the line was extended to Holt. At that time, in 1983, it was called Kelling Camp Holt as it serves the adjacent caravan and camping park. It's a good place to video engines working hard away from Weybourne up the bank to Holt, as we shall see and hear now. Now I'm down very near the station, Weybourne station. This is looking towards Holt. You can see the Somerset at the Somersault home signal to the right there. And again, as I swing round, we will look towards the station. And bridge number 302, a 3-arch segmental brickwork type, and also another Somersault signal, this time the starting signal on the right there. One of North Norfolk's finest engines, 8572. And now let's go and have a look at Weybourne station. So this is Weybourne, a normal Wilkinson and Jarvis large pavilion style design station building on the downside, but with steep roofs and terracotta sills. Note the lantern over the gentlemen's conveniences. And this is an old picture of the Bridge 302 and the station, which is on the right hand side, although you can only see one end of the platform. This station opened in 1901 and provided a crossing route which broke up the single line section between Holt and Sheringham, positioned on an easing gradient of 1 in 264. Facilities included 2 400-foot platforms, signal box on the up platform together with a simple brick shelter and canopy. Originally there was no footbridge. There was also modest good facilities, cattle dock, coal siding and head shunt, all on the downside. Some restoration has now taken place, and it is now the engineering centre of the North Norfolk Railway, with extensive workshops and sidings. And this train is just leaving Weybourne, and it will make its way down the Bridge 303 over the Coast Road, and then along by the golf course and into Sheringham. You see the sea in the background, and our steam engine has now turned into a diesel. And and that will make its way down and round over the coast road, as I say, in between the golf course and the coast road into Sheringham. So this is Bridge 303 over the coast road, a very popular place for photographers, particularly when the North Norfolk Railway has a gala. This bridge was strengthened in 1984. The railway then runs between the coast road and the golf course. I wonder if any steam loco drivers are tempted to blow the whistle just as they see somebody teeing off. Must be very tempting. And we're just approaching the crossing where the road into the golf course crosses the railway. And I've got an old picture of that which I'll put up now. And very soon the line will enter Sheringham Station, which we'll go to next. And now the railway enters Sheringham, a very popular seaside resort with a more discerning clientele. It was a well-appointed station with 2 platforms, passing loop and sidings. A tall signal box on the up platform overlooked the area. This was replaced in 1906 by 2 signal boxes east and west. The line from Weybourne enters from the left-hand side beneath bridge number 305, shown here in its more straightened form and wider, and then into the station. And here's a picture of the station during construction in 1885 looking west. You can clearly see the tall signal box on the up platform and bridge 305 in the background. Before there was a footbridge. And now this is another shot a little bit later and we've gained a footbridge. And here we are, the other side of the line, looking in the same direction. But after redevelopment, we have a different, wider spanned footbridge, and in the background you can see bridge 305 that is now a girder bridge, and as we shall see soon, much wider. So this is a general view of the station. The car park is where all the sidings and yard used to be. And that's looking towards Cromer and the east end of the station and the east signal box. We'll go and obviously we'll have a look at the station more closely. Now here we are at the end of the up platform, that's bridge 305. Which was widened in 1906 to accommodate another line into the sidings. And that's the west signal box. Now this is looking back towards Cromer. This is the up platform, and on this platform there was a brick-built waiting shelter. After the closure of this line in 1959, the station remained open until 1964, and in 1966 the Midland and Great Northern Preservation Society took over the station, and the first stop arrived in 1967. Just watch this be our standard class depart. And in the middle 60s, British Railways opened a new halt on the Cromer side of the level crossing, where that train is now. We'll have a look at that later on. Here's the main station buildings on the downside. As I said, on the up platform there was a waiting shelter built in the same materials as the main building, but that was demolished in the 1960s. As was the tall signal box, but that went in 1906. Now this is the roadside of the main buildings, typical Eastern and Midland design in red brick with gold brick dressings. At the east end of the station was the east signal box and a level crossing over Station Road, and also to the right of the line there was a fish dock. And here's an old picture of that same location with a train just come over the level crossing. And this is the Greater Anglia station now, recently rebuilt, and there is the connection also across Station Road to the North Norfolk Railway, which is used for stock movements and sometimes dining car trains to and from Cromer, after they've moved the parked cars, of course. After leaving Sheringham to the left there, the line forms a wavy line round and down to West Runton Station, and then up and round and down again to Runton West Junction, and finally makes its way into Cromer. And we'll go back to West Runton Station now and have a look round. So this is West Runton Station. This is looking back towards Sheringham, and that's Bridge 312 carrying station approach over the railway. This was originally a red brick structure with a concrete deck, but it was rebuilt in blue brick and joists in concrete in 1913. And here's an old shot, probably taken from station approach, looking at the old station. It was a single platform on a curve with limited facilities. The station building was a timber and corrugated iron version of a Wilkinson and Jarvis office design. And this is looking towards Cromer. The line continues its curve round, and my goodness, if it wasn't for the fact the rails were shiny on top, you'd think this was an abandoned line with all the foliage and weeds everywhere. Not a very good advert. But there is quite a nice little sort of garden and rest area here, and also an information board which tells us a little bit about the history of the line and also about this concrete running in board that's here. Apparently this was produced in Melton Constable. It's a concrete one, and it was installed in 1921. Originally these running in boards would have been wood. This one has been renovated, not the original letters, but is still believed to be the only one of this type in the country. Probably made in Marriott's Concrete Works, which of course is at Melton Constable. So this is Runton West Junction. This is an old picture of it. The tracks to the right are the avoiding line to Newstead Lane Junction, and at this time they were unused and shortly to be removed. That train is coming from Cromer and will be heading off to Sheringham. Now the line from West Junction goes across the top of the triangle, and after passing over East Junction, where that arrow is now, and joining the tracks from North Walsham via Mundersley, the line then enters Cromer Beach to the right. And we'll have a look at that now. I'm actually using an old video clip I've made in the past. After just over half a mile, the line enters the terminal station of Cromer Beach. This station, opened in 1887, formed the end of the Midland and Great Northern joint line from Melton Constable via Holt, and was located in a far more convenient position for the town and beach than the Great Eastern Railway station at Cromer High. Today it's a shadow of its former self, but in its heyday it boasted a fine station building, a single 675-foot or 200-metre long platform with a 300-foot or 92-metre bay platform. There were also sidings, a goods shed, cattle pens, plus an engine shed and even a turntable, all apart from the cattle pens on the north side of the station. A canopy covered some of the platform and track. There was also a tall water tower and an equally tall Eastern and Midlands type signal box, replaced in 1920 by a Marriott type. And you can see from this side-by-side map how most of the goods yard, etc., has all been completely obliterated by Morrison's store and car park. Now this is the station buildings now. I think they're a nightclub, or were a nightclub. Fine old building, deserves to be treated much better than this. And you can see in the spandrel of the canopy support the cast letters of the Midland and Great Northern. Yes, I don't know if it's still a nightclub. And here's the back. This would have been, the line would have continued through up to where we are and the platform, and coming out from the back of that building would have been a canopy over the platform and track. And this is another view of the back of the station where the canopy would have been. As I said, it's a really fine building. And this would have been, as we pan round, this is the store, would have been the yard area. And now we're looking down the platforms. There were the bay platform would have been on the left. And this is the signal box. This is a Marriott concrete block and brick with a Welsh slate roof. I believe it is open to the public sometimes. And then we're looking away towards Runton East Junction, where the line splits to Sheringham and round to Rowton Junction. And now again, this is where the yard would have been. We're looking back towards the buffer stops now. The noise is the railhead treatment train there. Again, looking back towards the buffer stops and the station building. Shadow of its former self, unfortunately. Now there were some houses built for the staff, and these are those houses in Central Road. They would have backed on to the yard, and this is another view of Central Road, and they would have been looking over all the yard and station and engine shed, etc. This is the back of them. And this is just another view now from the road of the whole area with the station in the distance there. So that concludes our journey from Melton Constable to Cromer on the old Midland and Great Northern Joint Railway line. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.